through almost 80 to 90% of the panel, and I can fit almost every single guy into those 2 inches there. That doesn't bring my eye in there.
Right.
My attitude is the first time you see a guy, either he's a double page spread, he's bigger in life, it's a close-up of his face or something like that, and every time you introduce somebody into it, you should hit the reader over the head. Again, some guys write their stuff, some guys don't. For the most part, the average guy, and you out there aren't going to become a writer, pencil, or inker, I guarantee it. So you're going to be following the lead of a writer out there. So when you're following the lead of a writer, then what you're going to be doing is, he's got control over that. The only thing you've got control over is the visuals. So when you've got control over the visuals, you make those things bang out. Put the pressure on the writer, guys. I'm telling you right now. The writers, this isn't a how to write comic book. This is a how to put the pressure on the writers. You draw what you want to draw. You draw it exciting. And I guarantee it, you give them 10 panels, they write in 10 panels. You give them 2 panels, they can write that same story in 2 panels, guys. They just put a little bit more word balloons here and there. So don't feel the pressure so much of the writer. Sometimes new beginners, I find, get in there, and what another problem is, they do 10 panels a page. It's death. Try to combine. If the scene is a guy drives around a corner on a mountain, he goes through the girder or over the cliff, the car explodes, and he jumps out of the car to save himself. The average beginner is going to do that in 6 or 7 panels. I can do that in 1 panel. I'll just forget that I don't have to show him going through the girders. I can just show the action lines going through the girders. I can show the car exploding in mid-flight, and I can show the guy jumping out of the way. I'll show that he's coming over a canyon road, and I got all of it in 1 panel. And the best thing about doing like 1 panel instead of 8 panels is, instead of that thing being 10 panels that are about this size, like this, I've gotten 1 good panel about this big, and then I can cut into some other action. Or I can do 2 or 3 small ones to build up to the suspense that his tires screech, and then he ends up going over the mountain street or something like that.
Okay, well here, I can show you a little clearly now what I was talking about moving your eye through a page. Because really, you know what, you have to give the proper information, but move the eye clearly through a page. A lot of times you get, if you get things all jumbled up on the page, it stops the reader in the middle of the story. And when you got an action story going, you want to rush right through. You want that action to be felt on the page. And for instance, here we started with the close-up. Start with the close-up. Then here we go to this angled shot behind this guy's shoulder. And there's his eyes. And here's this guy hunched down. Now he's hunched down. You don't want his head up here because he doesn't look dramatic. His head's dropped down here. His eyes and his shoulders are down here. And then he's leaping at him. Now I'm going to draw right over this. Our eye went like this. So boom, boom, boom. Think of it as an arrows. Arrows. You want to lead right here, then there, then there. I mean, there's all sorts of ways to do it, but most of the time you want to do this. Here, we're going to start off with an establishing shot. A lot of editors are going to give that establishing shot. And sometimes, you know what, give that one city scene so they can put in that little word balloon there.
And these right here are leaning buildings.
You got it. Forced perspective. Forced perspective.
Or Bedrock just walked by.
There you go.
One of the Youngbloods guys.
You got it. New image characters. Okay, here we got this going here, and then I'll be done with this. So you got your panel borders. Okay, then we got a down shot of these people.
Let me interrupt. As you can see here, Rob's stuff isn't all that tight. And that's what we're stressing here on the layout part of it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry whether the eyeballs are straight or stuff. What you want to get here is a lot of the dynamics and storytelling. And the actual pretty drawing, that comes at a different stage right now, when you're doing the tight penciling or you're doing the inking or whatever else.
Okay, I'm going to just finish this up right here. Okay, give the big lips. Okay, so we've got this. So our eye's going in like this. And we go over here, because we got a down shot of them walking through the city. We'll put a sidewalk, put a trash can over here so you know they're in the city. Down shots, the camera's up here now. But you've gone in here on your forced perspective. You've come down here. Now your eye's going to flow right through all this stuff because we close in on them. Maybe you give an up shot so your camera's down here shooting them up. So you've got that. You're going head, head. So these 2 head, the placement of them is leading to your last panel, which you give a big head shot, nice big shot. You can go in there and do your pretty face. You can do whatever you want. Boom. You're in the page. You're out of the page. You're flipping, and the action's coming with it. But yeah, don't go in tight when you're trying to figure out your storytelling. Just use those little stick figures, that jump out of you or kick or punch or whatever.
Okay, now one of the other things too that you can do on your pages that a lot of us are starting to do, guys like Jim Lee and Will Portacio and Rob and myself and Eric Larson. Is we're starting to get a little more designier with the pages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And unfortunately, this is a tough game for you guys to have to play here. is that when you hand in your samples, if you hand it to the editors, a lot of them are kind of raised from the old school. They got to see ABCD storytelling, everything's cool, and unfortunately, we're going to show you a couple of tricks to designing and stuff, but you might have to curb some of those things until you're actually in. Because if you go out and you try to be real designy right off the bat, then sometimes they pick out those designy elements as a flaw in your storytelling. So you don't want to give them too many flaws. What I usually tell them is, when you go in there to get a job, they don't want to hire you. They've got a gun, and the least amount of bullets that they've got, the better chance you got of surviving and coming out of there. So the first time, they're going to say, you can't draw, you got no storytelling, you got no dynamics, you don't know what you're doing. They've got 8 bullets riddled in you, you're a dead man. The next time you come back, hopefully you've corrected one of those. They only shoot you 4 times, not too bad. You don't have to be perfect, because none of us are perfect when we get the job. But if we're only morally wounded somewhat, and we can just say it was a flesh wound, you usually get a job, you're in there, you can I'm going to tell you what happened to me personally. I did these, as you can see, I do a lot of designy stuff. When I did Infinity, I did this wacko weird stuff, okay? I handed those samples in when I was trying to break in.
Yep.
Nothing. The first time I did what I call the standard 1, 2, 3, 4 panels, I got my first job. That was a year and a half of handing out design stuff. But as soon as I got the job, Steve Englehart gave me the first job. I said, Steve, I don't want to do 1, 2, 3, 4 panels. He goes, beauty, you don't have to. And I was able to do it. But I was already in. And then luckily, Roy Thomas also let me do that too. And I was able to do it once I was in. Trying to do it from before you're in kind of rubs them somewhat the wrong way. Now, the reason that we like designs is because I'm a hockey fan. I don't know if you guys know that, but I love hockey. Can't play it because I was born in California. But now look at this shirt here. Now this could have been a dull shirt. There's a lot of sports shirts out there. But here's a shirt here that's got a couple of little 1990s type stuff on it. Kind of looks cool. The back right here, it's got a design here, a couple of different textures even on. Actually, if you could even feel this, you would see that
it's all bubbly.
There's all bubbly and there's plastic on it and stuff like that. But this is a wraparound cover. Now, one reason I'm showing this is that this could have been, I could show you 10 other San Jose Sharks memorabilia or T-shirts, and 9 of them put you to sleep. This one,
this could have been shrunk down.
This is cool. This is a cool shirt, and it's designy. And the reason it's designy is 90 is hip.
Yep.
And so what I'm saying is the new comic books that are selling, whether the editors want to believe it or not, are new, hip, and they're designy.
I'm more of a design slant.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how you can take blasé, nothing drawing, and I mean I did it enough times when I was doing Spider-Man or when I was doing Infinity, but one of the problems that they say is they don't want anatomy sticking out of a panel. I think that's wrong.
Yeah, me
you know
too.
what I mean? That's just a rule that they repeat. Now, again, you might have to keep the anatomy in when you're doing your first samples of getting the job, guys.
Yeah, be conservative until you get your first job.
Yeah.
And once you get your first job,
there's 2 sets of rules.
Start doing it a little at a time, little at a time.
So listen to rule A to get in, and then listen to rule B when you're after you're in, and you can take some of this. Now, what I'm saying is, what you can do is, you can take a guy, I don't care what he's doing. As a matter of fact, we'll just make him standing there. Now, see, I'm not going to draw as pretty as some of the stuff that was on Jim and Wilson's video, if you guys bought those, I hope. But we got the guy standing here. Here he is. He's bow-legged. Yeah, I know. You guys saw this in my first video, and it disappoints you. So, but he's sitting here. He's looking pretty cool. And then...
give him some detail lines.
Give him some what?
Give him some detail lines to appease him.
Some detail lines.
There you go.
Beauty.
There you go. Good deal.
Beauty.
There you go, kid.
Now he's sitting here. I've got a big panel here. Now I can run this in 10 different ways. If I was going to give him a cape, probably if I wanted to be real funky, I'd give him the cape. Let's say if his cape is up here, I'd give him the cape up in here, and I'd run it up here, and then what I'd do is I'd cut it back behind his head here. I'd now use this as part of the border. And if I use that as part of the border, then I'd maybe do kind of a trailing thing where the cape went over the border here.
Yeah.
Then I'd cut the border in here, come through the old crotch shot here, come over here, and now, since this is going to be the big one, I could actually even fit 1 panel in here, 2 panels here, make these a little smaller, a little moodier, and then build up to the suspense of, dun dun dun, we have Rutabaga Man, or there's another cool character called the Spawn. So he's here, you get to see him for the first time. Again, you can't do that on every page, I don't think, but if you do it on a minimal amount, The other thing is, too, you want to put a little bit of, again, see the legs that are spread apart.
Yeah.
You want to do a little bit of dynamics or something like that.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, and those are kind of things, I see too many faces where the guy's sitting there like this, you know, when you could have him, you know, eyes like this and his mouth wide open.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've got a little 6-month-old girl, and I guarantee you, I can tell when she's going number 1 or number 2. It's her face dynamics. You know, number 1 is an easy one. Number 2, ugh.
Or you can cut this face cool. You can,
Yep.
you know, or yeah, you know, it's so standard. Just don't do that stuff. But you know that. But be creative. Take different cuts.
Beauty. Now, I've been pencil and inking for, gosh, I don't know how many, 3-4 years now or something like that. So I don't do any tight penciling right now. So why don't you give us like maybe just like an arm or something like that and show them about the amount of rendering that you want to do on this thing.
Okay, and then you want to come in and
For somebody to be able to ink it. Because one of the
Okay.
other things I find, too, is guys, when they pencil, they